On this episode of the Catholic Echo podcast from the Diocese of Youngstown, brought to you by the annual Diocesan Appeal and Cumulus Radio Youngstown, we're talking about Ed Choice with Bishop David Bonnar, Dr. Stephen Jones, and Margie Hynes. Find more about this episode's topic, including articles from the Catholic Echo, at www.catholicecho.org/podcast. And now the host of the Catholic Echo podcast, Dennis Viviana.
Hello and welcome to the Catholic Echo podcast. I'm joined now by Bishop David Bonnar. Great to see you as always.
Thank you, Dennis.
After a busy summer, we are back to school. That's really hard to believe. Now, Dr. Stephen Jones begins his journey as the new Diocese of Youngstown superintendent. He was hired in April and started work in July. Now, Bishop Bonnar, can you talk a little bit about what Dr. Jones brings to the table and why he stands out from others who applied for the job?
Well, we certainly welcome Dr. Stephen Jones with open arms, and I think there are many assets to his presence on our staff. And the first one is he comes from the outside. He was working in South Carolina, so he comes in to our mission with new eyes. And there's always something to be gained from that when we mix the pot up and welcome new people, because they bring new practices, a new vision, along with his seasoned experience. He's an experienced educator, which is certainly a great value given his role. I think the other thing that he brings, he's a parent, and he understands children, youth. He lives nearby, and I've bumped into him on my walks as well as with his wife, and I know he has a house full, and his boys are attending one of our high schools, but he brings that parenting sense, and I think that is of utmost value.
And had experience at Grove City College. One thing he caught me off guard, he said he was born in Columbus, actually. Doesn't remember a lot of that because his family moved to Texas early on. But another question I want to ask you is, looking at yourself as an example, you were familiar with the Diocese of Youngstown, working as a parochial vicar at Newcastle at one point. But what is it like starting over at a new location, familiarizing yourself with new faces, situations? That's a lot to take in for one person, isn't it?
It is, but there's a special excitement that comes with any new beginning. There's the energy that one brings to the new endeavor, but there's also the whole milieu that new person embraces. And so it's a convergence of experience, of ideas, of possibilities. And so I think that beginnings are refreshing. I look back at my beginning here, I really didn't know anybody. And in many ways, that was a blessing. Because I got to see things with my own eyes and didn't have any prejudices or preconceived notions. And all of that creates a synergy. And I know I've seen it already since his arrival, that there's a new energy in our school's office. I see it, and it's permeating his coworkers, all those who work with him. I think that it's very, very exciting, and I'm very hopeful about his presence here.
If a parent asks you, why is it important to have a Catholic education in 2024, what would your message to them be?
I think the great thing about our Catholic schools is the whole idea of Christian values. We can't live in this world without some foundation. Jesus tells the story about a house built on rock that's able to withstand the torrents, the winds, the rains. I think that Catholic schools build upon the foundation that is there from that first church, the family. And so I think it's the Christian values, but it's also more than that. It's the relationship with Jesus Christ. Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. I think that as a church, whether in our Catholic schools, in our religious education programs, even from the pulpit in our churches, it's all about encounter. Pope Francis speaks about how he wants everyone to encounter Jesus anew. So I think that's the great thing about Catholic schools, and to know that it's as we grow up and as we live our lives, Jesus walks with us. Jesus accompanies us.
In your 3 years here in the diocese, what are you most proud of when it comes to our schools?
I'm very proud of our Catholic school program here in the Diocese of Youngstown. We educate about 6,000 students a year all throughout the 6 counties of the diocese. But as I look back, I came on board in the midst of the pandemic. And so I got to see with my own eyes how we as a diocese, particularly our schools office and our schools therein, how we embraced the pandemic, not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. And we rose above that. I think when we look at safety, the safety features that have been put in place, the policies, the procedures, I'm very proud of that. And we can never grow lax in that realm. And I just think there's a real spirit, when I visit with the presidents or the principals, or even, the few times that I've met with the teachers, I think there's a pride, there's an energy there, and we certainly behold that.
Bishop Bonnar, what do you think needs improved upon in our diocese as far as schools?
Well, I think we need to deepen that encounter with Jesus, and we need to sustain it beyond the classroom, into church, into ministry, social outreach, service. Being Catholic and going to a Catholic school entails much. I mean, it's not just taking religion classes, but there's a whole realm of experience and mission that is absolutely vital. I think the other thing that we need to grow in is that more and more we have an increasing number of non-Catholic students. So I think that there's a real opportunity there for us to evangelize them, to invite them into that encounter with Jesus Christ and to the church.
Can you talk a little bit in general about the asset Ed Choices and its expansion for students across the diocese?
Well, I know it's called Ed Choice, but I like to call it the gift, the opportunity, because it really enables so many students to avail themselves to Catholic education. And yet I know it's controversial in some people's eyes. Nevertheless, I'm so blessed to live in Ohio. I come from Pennsylvania, where this does not exist. And it puts more onus on parents and families, and it impacts their life and their lifestyle. But thanks be to God, we have this gift of Ed Choice, and I'm very grateful for it. And what it's done is it's enabled us to bring more students into the fold. And when you have more students, there's a greater sense of viability, I think.
And just last question I want to ask you, circling back to Dr. Jones and students, faculty, staff who are working with him this coming year, what advice do you have for him?
I would just say, look, listen, and learn.
Very well put. Bishop Bonnar, thank you as always for your time. When we return, I'll introduce you to Dr. Stephen Jones, talk about his backstory and hopes for the future. Much more to come when the Catholic Echo podcast returns.
Come and join Bishop Bonnar and Catholic Charities at our upcoming Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center in Niles, featuring 24 local restaurants. This event supports Catholic Charities' housing and homeless programs. Tickets are $75 per person, and we're still seeking sponsors to support this meaningful cause. Visit our website, ccdoy.org, for tickets, sponsorship opportunities, and a list of participating restaurants.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in Northeast Ohio? That is more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions, as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information. Welcome back to the Catholic Echo podcast. Joining me now is the new Diocese of Youngstown Superintendent of Catholic Schools, Dr. Stephen Jones. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to the diocese.
Thanks for having me today.
You were hired in April and started in July. You said the number one priority is listening and learning. I guess what's the new venture been like so far for you?
So far, I think it's been great for me, and I hope the people in the schools would agree. I spent the first couple of weeks literally just driving from school to school and got to know the geography of the diocese a little bit, meet some of the people at all levels, right? Most of my background was in higher education and high school. I had some experience in middle school, but I didn't have a lot of experience administratively or teaching in elementary schools. So I spent some time with some of our outstanding elementary schools and their leaders. Just wanted to get to know kind of the challenges that they are uniquely facing. We've got great schools in this diocese. I'm really inheriting something that's already doing well. In fact, I feel a little nervous that I want to make sure I can keep building on the successes they've had. But so far, it's been a great experience for me and for them as well, I hope.
You were saying to me beforehand, there's a school nearby, likely.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Well, so the Diocese of Youngstown, if you think about it, try to get the image of it in your head. It's shaped kind of funny, and we cover a lot of ground, right? 5 different counties, and we go all the way up to Ashtabula, right? And I think a lot of people probably hear Diocese of Youngstown, and maybe just in their head they think, oh, the Catholic schools are in Youngstown. But the reality is we have Catholic schools in every corner of the diocese, right? So any family that wants to find a Catholic school for their children has something fairly close by. Now, obviously it breaks down a little bit if you need someone in high school, you might be a little bit farther away than in elementary school, but we've done a good job in this diocese of making our schools spread out so that everybody who wants a Catholic education that's within our jurisdiction has access to one.
Now, you spent more than 20 years in professional education and everything from middle school through university teaching and administration. Tell our listeners a little bit about your professional career and why this job appealed to you.
I can remember the day in college when my career got set. I was listening to a lecture from a philosophy professor named Dr. Hatchett, one of the great all-time names for a teacher. He made a point about the relationship between church and state in America that was new to me, and it just sort of sparked my curiosity. And I remember I was sitting in the Mabee Theater at Houston Baptist University, and I said, that's what I want to do. I think I was a sophomore in college at the time. So my education journey in terms of my career really got started right then. I finished college, went off and earned a master's degree at Duke University, then a PhD at the University of Virginia, always thinking I was going to be a college professor. I spent about 11 years as a college professor, both at the University of Virginia after I finished my degree and then also at Grove City College over in Pennsylvania. And one of the things I was most interested in researching and writing about was the commitments that people of faith make that are different from everybody else's. If you think about it this way, in political terms, what are the added responsibilities or opportunities that people of faith have, and how do they meet those? And obviously education is one of the most significant of those. So when I left the professorate to go and be a school administrator, a lot of my friends thought it was a real change in my career. I never saw it that way. I saw it as moving from being a student of religious schooling and education to being a practitioner. And so I spent 11 years down in South Carolina as the academic dean and principal of a Catholic school down there. And then the Diocese of Youngstown posted its job. And, 11 years is a long time in my line of work to be at one school.
Yes.
And so I kind of talked to my wife and I said, how do you feel about Youngstown? And she went, where? And I said, Youngstown, Ohio. And I came up, interviewed, and we just immediately knew that this is where we wanted to be. I was talking to a couple of different places, but early on, I just had this sense in my spirit that we were headed to Youngstown.
Mary Fiala was the superintendent over the last decade here, retired after 45 years in the diocese. Has she given you any advice? I'm sure she's on speed dial for you.
Yeah.
And is it a challenge to fill someone's shoes like hers?
Yeah, so right after I accepted the job, somebody sent me a notice that Mary, God bless her, had received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the NCEA, the National Catholic Education Association, and I thought, oh, man, big shoes to fill. But Mary's been great. We communicated a lot even before I got here. And then we had an overlap of a couple of weeks where I basically just sort of shadowed her in the office to pick up where all the specific issues were. We still talk when a new issue pops up or when I just need some background information. And actually, Mary is still working for the diocese. She's the director of some special projects that were just ongoing that she kind of wanted to keep a hold of and nurture until they fully bloom. And so Mary and I talk, I would say, at least once a week or so, and then we still see each other around the office. So.
Oh, that's great. In April, you told me Catholic schooling is a must-have for the Jones family. Now, education is the family business. Can you expound upon that?
So my wife and I were raised in very faithful Protestant homes. We were both adult converts to Catholicism. And as soon as we converted, we just looked at each other and said, well, we got to put our kids in Catholic school, right? I mean, the beauty of the Catholic vision, the richness, the Catholic culture, and how extensive it is and how cohesive it is what attracted me to Catholicism in the beginning. And we wanted our children not just to learn about that on Sundays, we wanted them enveloped in that the whole time. So we really knew that we wanted to put our kids in Catholic schooling. Where we were at the time wasn't going to be an easy option. That's one of the reasons we left Pennsylvania and moved down to South Carolina, was so that we could put our kids in Catholic schooling. And that's been a hit all the way around. My kids love the schools they've been in. We have loved the communities that we've been a part of, both as teachers. My wife's a teacher and as an administrator, but also just as parents. When I say Ed's the family business, my mom was in religious education. My brother's the vice president for human resources at a school. My sister was a teacher. My wife's a teacher. My daughter's a teacher. My son's an education major. It's what we do in our family.
That's excellent. So obviously you think it's very important nowadays in 2024 to pursue that Catholic education.
I don't think there's ever been a time when it was more important, right? We live in an era of incredible choice for people, and kids grow up believing and being taught somewhat subtly. Nobody ever just comes out and says this, but the only thing that's true is something that they choose, and we are empowered to choose a lot of things about our life that used to not be really matters of choice. Well, if that's true, then I think it's critical that we rightly form students to make the right choices. That's a full-time job for me, and I love the work that we get to do. So I actually think that we are in an exciting time, but a very challenging time. And I don't think it's ever been more important to have your kids as deeply rooted in the faith as you can.
I agree. How do you maintain an authentic Catholic identity in schools that have both Catholic and non-Catholic students and staff?
Yeah, what a great challenge and great opportunity. You know, the word Catholic means universal. So the first thing you do is welcome people, whether they're Catholic or not. You welcome them to your school because they're looking for something. They may think they're just looking for a great sports program because we have outstanding sports programs in our school. Or they may think they're just looking for the best education in the community. And all of that they can find in a Catholic school, but they're going to find more too. And so I think part of the challenge and the opportunity is to be as welcoming as we can for all of our students, no matter what background they're coming from, and then to put the beauty of the Catholic vision and the Catholic understanding of life in front of them. The Holy Spirit's going to do what the Holy Spirit's going to do. And in my experience, often prompts families and students to notice something different. So it's super important that our schools have a really vibrant Catholic culture. And that's not just that we have Mass occasionally or that, sometimes you might see a priest in the hall. We need our schools to move to the rhythm of the Catholic year and to be joyful, right? I mean, the gospel is a message of joy, not drudgery. And so I've really been encouraging our principals, and many of them were already doing this, of course, but just let's be joyful. Let's let people see that we strongly believe in what we're doing. We're not essentially defensive, trying to hide ourselves from the world. We're out there because we think the gospel matters, and we think it matters for people's individual daily lives, and I want our schools to be part of that message.
Very well put. Now, I just want to ask you one last question. Ed Choice Scholarship, something I've learned about since I started here in January, provides a great opportunity for students to attend private schools, kindergarten through 6th grade, based on income. The program has expanded. Tell some folks about the benefits of this.
So Ed Choice is an incredible opportunity for families who have thought, rightly or wrongly, who have thought that a Christian education, a Catholic education, was simply not available to them. What the state of Ohio has done is it took a program that already existed to support kids with certain kind of learning needs, and it's made it universal so that any family can get at least some of their tuition covered at a religious school or other private school. This is an incredible opportunity for families to actually respect the rights of parents in choosing their child's education. We have always had educational choice in this country. It was just usually determined by what neighborhood you choose to buy a home in, which meant that it was really available only for certain people who could afford to look at different neighborhoods, right? What the state of Ohio has done actually is democratized educational choice so that now lots of people, more people, in fact, almost everybody, can choose something when it comes to their child's education. I think that's a great move for the state of Ohio. And it's one of the reasons I was willing to come from South Carolina back up to the north in the harsh winters, because I think Ohio is rightly leading the way here in making a quality education available to lots of people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stephen Jones. Best of luck to you this coming school year. Hard to believe it's here already.
Yeah.
Now, you can find out more information about Ed Choice at education.ohio.gov. Now, coming up next on the Catholic Echo podcast, Katie Wagner speaks with Margie Hynes, a consultant for the Office of Faith Formation and Lay Ecclesial Ministry. Much more to come when we return.
Did you know that the Catholic Echo magazine is delivered 10 times per year to 52,000 Catholic households in northeastern Ohio? That's more than 150,000 people. And the Catholic Echo website, catholicecho.org, has been averaging 30,000 views per month since it launched in February 2023. Advertise your business, special event, or service with the Catholic Echo in print or online. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org. Advertising discounts are available for Catholic institutions as well as for businesses that commit to 5 or 10 issues in a year. Email catholicecho@youngstowndiocese.org or visit the advertising tab at catholicecho.org for more information.
Get your taste buds ready for some delicious food at our first ever Chefs for Charity event on September 26th at the Eastwood Event Center in Niles. Join 24 local restaurants showcasing their talents while helping to support Catholic Charities' housing and homeless programs, helping those in need in our community. Visit our website for tickets, sponsorship opportunities, and a list of participating restaurants at www.ccdoy.org.
This is Katie Wagner, the editor-in-chief of the Catholic Echo magazine, and I'm here with Margie Hynes, who is the Diocesan Consultant for Faith Formation in Lay Ecclesial Ministry. Did I get that right?
You did. You did.
Okay. Thanks, Margie. We have Margie here today to talk a little bit about the resources that the diocese offers to folks of all ages to grow in their faith. First of all, I know that every issue of the Echo, you provide us with a lovely list of resources for our readers so that they can continue finding reading materials to increase their prayer life and, all sorts of things in any given month. So tell me a little bit about that and your work in the diocesan library and what it's like, dealing with all of these resources that are out there and choosing the ones that are recommended.
I think choosing the ones that are recommended is probably the biggest challenge because there's so much out there. But trying to vet the authors and the topics is probably the thing we spend the most time on. But we do have books for adults, for small groups, parish Bible studies, scripture studies. We also have them for individuals who would like to strengthen their prayer life or have like meditation, learn how to meditate. And then we have a children's section. Most of our children's books are about the church, but we do have some secular books that we can help you tie into the faith.
And now the library is located on the lower level of the diocesan office. Can you talk a little bit about how folks can access what you have there at the diocesan library?
Sure. The library's open anytime. Our offices are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Anybody is welcome to come in. You don't have to be a director of religious education. It's open to the public. Anybody can come in. And you can park across the street. We have a great parking lot, so you don't have to look for parking. We have a parking lot across the street. You just come in the front doors, and we let you in, and you get to look and see if there's anything that you would like to take.
Now, if you are a director of religious education, are you able to come in and check out multiple books at one time to take back to your parish and borrow? How does that work?
Absolutely. We have some people that work at the parish that will check out things for parishioners and take them to the parishioners and then return them. So you can check out 10 books at a time, return them usually within a month. We always extend that unless it's a really popular title. We also have all the curriculum that the diocese approves in the library. So if you're a director of religious education and you're looking to change your curriculum, we have samples of all of those publishers down that you're welcome to take to your catechist and look over.
And I know, because I often take that list that you give me for every issue, and then when I format it online, I go into the digital version of the library and grab all the links and put them in there. And that digital library is very robust. So how does that work? I know that people can go in there, they can search for titles, and they can see when a certain book is available to be checked out. Then do they come to the library to pick it up, or just explain that process?
If you go onto the library online, find something you like, then you can email us or call us, and we can pull that title for you and have it ready for you to pick up. And we do mail, so if it's part of the diocese that's far away, we can also mail that to you.
Oh, that's great. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, the Diocesan Library is an amazing resource. I was so excited when I found it in my first few months of working here. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even believe we had something like this. But that's only a piece of what you do. I understand that you also help put together some of the adult faith formation courses that are available for people around the diocese. So can you speak to that as well?
3 times a year, we come out with a little postcard. Usually it has about 6 courses to choose from. They're facilitated by people that are in our diocese. Most of them are online through a platform called Schoology. It's very easy to use. It's very user-friendly. Occasionally we do have them in person. And those are anything from a scripture study to how to better your life. We do some parenting things sometimes on those postcards. And it's open to anyone. Anybody can take those courses.
Oh, wow.
Again, not just for diocesan employees. Anybody can take those courses.
And do you have to have a parish affiliation when you go in and sign up?
No.
Okay. And what is the cost?
The cost varies. Depending on the book is really what the cost varies the most of. We have the books here, and then when you register, we mail the book to you. Your cost or your fee for the course will depend on how much the book costs.
Right. That makes sense. So these are available. Can you give me the website for that? What is the website for the adult formation, faith formation courses?
If you go to the DOY website, and you can find Catechist Cafe on the DOY website, and that links you to our website, which is on Weebly, and all your information is there. You can sign up online with a credit card, which is really convenient for most people.
Yes.
And then some people, you can always call us and we can do it over the phone, but the online option is very convenient.
So that is doy.org, and then if they want to reach you via phone, the number would be the diocesan phone number, correct? Okay. Are there any other resources offered by your department? Because I know that you guys have so much going on all the time that you think it's important for folks to know around the diocese who might be looking to increase their faith life at any stage.
The 3 of us are available for any phone consultations if you have questions about a resource or a speaker. If we don't know, we'll find out for you. And just anything you want to talk about the faith, we can put you in touch with the correct people. So if you're not sure where to go, we can help direct you in that way.
Sure. And I understand you also help to, if parishes are bringing in speakers or having a seminar, just to help with the vetting process and whatnot as well. So
Correct.
I understand that that's a big piece of what you do too.
Correct.
So. Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Margie, not only for being here today, but for your monthly contributions to the Echo. I know that that's always a fun thing that people look forward to. So we appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you for that opportunity.
If you're listening to this podcast on the radio and would like to hear it again, you can visit www.catholicecho.org, and the resources from the Office of Faith Formation and Lay Ecclesial Ministry are available on the diocesan website at doy.org.
The Catholic Echo podcast is a production of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. Your host has been Dennis Biviano. Have a blessed day, and may God be with you.